hosted by Pakistan. I would like to extend my warm greetings to all of you and thank the organizers for inviting me to this August event. Let me begin by recognizing the Government of Sindh, the National Disaster Management Agency, the Sindh People's Housing for Flood Affectees, and the Sindh Housing Recovery and Reconstruction Forum for convening this forum and bringing together hundreds of practitioners across the Asia and Pacific. Your leadership has created an important platform to exchange lessons and advance collective action toward building more resilient, inclusive, and sustainable settlements in one of the world's most climate vulnerable regions. As extreme weather and climate events increasingly compound poverty and vulnerability across the region, it has never been more important for us to learn from each other. Experience, we can build safer shelters, protect livelihoods, and restore dignity for front lines of risk. Pakistan understands these challenges all too well. By hosting this forum today, the country is showing resilience, demonstrating a commitment not only to recover from recent disasters, including floods, extreme heat, air pollution, but to lead, to share, and to help shape a global dialogue on how we build lasting resilience together. As we work together to advance solutions in innovation in the domain of shelters and settlements, it's important to keep those we serve at the center of our efforts. The World Bank has made strong investments in people-centered and community-driven efforts to build multi-hazard resilient settlements, financially empower those who inhabit them, and ensure that the benefits of our interventions reach all community groups, including women, the elderly, the marginalized, and differently abled. Through initiatives such as Sindh Flood Emergency Housing Reconstruction Project, we are supporting the reconstruction of 770,000 multi-hazard resilient homes for families who lost their homes in devastating 2022 floods. We are helping communities rebuild not just structures, but their safety, dignity, and hope for the future. In the process, the reconstruction effort has generated over 1.1 million short-term and long-term jobs for residents in affected regions. It is also advancing financial inclusion, enabling more than 1 million people to open the bank accounts, for most of them first time in their lives, and most of whom are women. Through the leadership of the Government of Sindh and the Sindh People's Housing for Flood Affectees, a total of 100,000 land titles has been provided to women, and another 200,000 are planned under the project. We believe that the family is secure once their women are secure. The land titles in women's hands empowers not only households, but entire communities. In the coming months, we will begin dispersing funds to housing beneficiaries with disabilities to support accessibility-focused home improvements and the provision of assistive devices to ensure that our efforts truly leave no one behind. Last week, President of World Bank, Ajay Banga, had the opportunity to visit the housing project and meet with this woman. He was blown away, and I was fortunate to be there with him. The World Bank's 10-year country partnership framework calls for a holistic approach to put Pakistan on the higher growth path that is inclusive, resilient, and sustainable. This vision is translated into action through our programs at both federal and provincial levels, particularly in disaster reconstruction and recovery through shelter and settlements. These interventions go well beyond rebuilding homes. They address critical development outcomes such as reducing child stunting, tackling learning poverty, strengthening climate resilience, and expanding access to cleaner energy, all while remaining firmly grounded in our core principles of connecting communities and protecting the poorest. In Balochistan, we are working with communities to rebuild homes and community infrastructure in ways that reduce future flood risk. In Punjab, we are strengthening affordable housing systems so that new construction is sustainable and fit for long-term urban growth. In Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, particularly in remote and newly emerged districts, we are combining investments in WASH. WASH is water, sanitation, and hygiene, rural connectivity, and agricultural livelihoods to support recovery in opportunity where needs are the greatest. Our job as development institutions, aid agencies, practitioners is best done if we can assist governments in transforming good shelter practices into national programs that reach and empower millions. In this regard, it is encouraging to see this forum address a broad range of critical issues, from designing resilient structures in advancing inclusive and sustainable financing to strengthening people-centered governance, scaling climate-resilient settlement programs, and uplifting communities through meaningful participation and long-term sustainability. The World Bank is proud to be part of this diverse community gathered here today. We are here to listen, to learn, and to contribute. Over the next 3 days, may this forum spark new ideas, strengthen partnerships, and translate shared knowledge into action that makes a lasting difference for communities across the Asia and Pacific region. I wish the forum great success. Shukriya.
Thank you very much, and I think we all would agree that this is such a unique project because not only it's about homes, it's about the financial inclusion and the jobs that will be created. As per the ILO Impact Assessment Report, the initiative is projected to create 1 million jobs in the next 2 years, further contributing to the region's economic recovery and growth. Thank you very much. Our next partner, the Asian Development Bank. The ADB's partnership has been crucial as sponsorship ally for APSSF to 2026 and also in advancing innovative, climate-responsive solutions that place affected communities at the heart of recovery of this initiative. I will now like to invite Mr. Asad Aleem, Deputy Country Director of the Asian Development Bank, to kindly come and address us.
Thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable First Lady, respected Chief Minister, Excellencies, Ministers and officials, development partners, distinguished delegates, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. On behalf of Asian Development Bank, I congratulate the Government of Sindh and SPHF for convening this august and impressive forum that demonstrates how the government-led platform can align policy direction, institutional coordination, and partner support while keeping communities at the center of recovery. We meet at a critical moment for the Asia-Pacific. Climate shocks are intensifying and risks are compounding. Flood, heat, storms, and drought often intersecting with poverty, informality, and displacement. In this context, shelter is more than a roof. It is a foundation for dignity, health, safety, women's empowerment, and local economic recovery. Settlements are systems, land, infrastructure, services, governance, and finance, through which risks are either reduced or reproduced. As a regional development bank and a partner, Asian Development Bank is honored to support Pakistan and Sindh through the Sindh Emergency Housing Reconstruction Project. Beyond financing, ADB's added value is to help translate policy ambition and scalable delivery, strengthening resilient construction and settlement planning standards, supporting transparent digital monitoring and citizens' feedback mechanisms, and embedding inclusion so that women, persons with disabilities, and other vulnerable households are reached effectively. For ADB, the Sindh program is also a platform for regional learning, so lessons on standards, digital transparency, and inclusive delivery can be adopted all across Asia Pacific. Allow me to highlight 3 practical shifts that can help us move from recovery to resilience at scale. First, design for tomorrow's risks, not yesterday's hazards. This means climate and disaster risk-informed planning, safer sitting, and resilient standards that can be applied consistently from household level to settlement systems. Second, deliver shelter as an integrated system. A home without safer water, sanitation, drainage, access to basic services is not resilience. It is vulnerable. It's vulnerability deferred. Linking shelter with wash, energy, health, and livelihood protects public investment and strengthens community well-being. Finally, make inclusion and accountability the engine of scale. Embedding gender equality, disability, and social inclusion in targeting consultations, grievance redress, and monitoring is not an add-on. It improves effectiveness and reduces risks. Transparent data, clear roles, and community leadership are what convert resources into trusted outcomes. Excellencies and colleagues, APSSF 2026 is an opportunity to move from pilots to policy, from projects to platforms, and from recovery to long-term resilience. ADB looks forward to engaging in the forum, including our session on anticipating and managing compound climate risks and fragile systems, and to learning from the regional experience and field visits that will ground our dialogue in community realities. For the 2022 flood reconstruction, ADB approved over $1.2 billion in concessional loans and grants, which are all under implementation. And as the second largest development partner of the government of Pakistan, for the government of Sindh, for the next 3 years, we have a firm pipeline of $1.2 billion, primarily on the urban and transport sectors. Let me close by thanking the government of Sindh, SPHF, NDMA, and the government of Pakistan for the leadership and partnership. ADB remains committed to working with Pakistan and countries across the region to scale solutions that are inclusive, climate resilient, and sustainable. I thank you very much and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aleem. I would now take the opportunity to mention our next supporting partner, the Islamic Development Bank. ISDB Group's support for today's event has been as significant as its commitment of $200 million for humanitarian recovery in Pakistan, and that has strengthened our capacity to deliver transformative shelter solution grounded in resilience and dignity. We will be joined by Mr. Saleh Jallasi, Director, ISDB Group Regional Hub, through a video message. Mr. Saleh Jallasi, Director of ISDB Group Regional Hub, will be joining us online. Till we set this up, I think it would be apt. We can move on to our next speaker, and we'll be joined by Mr. Saleh as soon as all of us are ready. Our next partner, the European Union. European Union has been a long-standing champion of humanitarian action and sustainable development across the Asia-Pacific, advancing inclusive, right-based approaches that leaves no one behind. In Pakistan, collaborating with the government of Sindh through the Paidar initiative, they are helping lead the climate resilient settlement development plans across Sindh. I now invite Mr. Jeroen Willems, Head of Cooperation, European Union Delegation to Pakistan, to address the gathering.
Her Excellency Asifa Bhutto Zardari, First Lady of Pakistan, His Excellency Murad Ali Shah, Chief Minister of Sindh, Excellencies, Ambassadors, Ministers, officials, and not unimportantly, friends, colleagues. It's such a pleasure to be with you today at this very important forum that gathers not just the Pakistan experience, but experience of many countries when it comes to shelter and settlement. And I think that Pakistan has a lot to offer when it comes to this forum. As we all know, and it was mentioned already by previous speakers, Pakistan is among the most affected by the negative impacts of climate change. We saw that obviously in the devastating floods in 2022 that displaced more than 33 million people, and particularly where we are here today in the Sindh province, that province was particularly hard affected. But it didn't just stay with 2022. We've seen last year, again, massive floods in Pakistan, fortunately not at the scale as we saw in 22, but still with quite some damage. And if we look at the forecasts for this year's weather, unfortunately, the indications are not particularly good. So that means that the issue of climate resilience is, I think, absolutely vital. And out of the catastrophe of 2022 and the floods, we've also seen some positive elements rising, and I would say that one of the most important positive elements arising out of the floods is the massive climate resilient housing scheme that will be displayed over the course of the next few days in Sindh. The largest housing scheme, climate resilient housing scheme in the world, and as mentioned by previous speakers, indeed that's indeed an achievement in itself, but it's not just the housing. It has so many side-on benefits. Already mentioned the massive impact on gender equality and financial inclusion. But I think also what is equally important is the amount of data that has been gathered. We know much more about rural Sindh thanks to this very innovative project that gives full ownership to communities to take their future in their own hands by building with their own hands a climate resilient house when they were so much affected by the floods. Now in 2022, the EU was very much part and parcel of what we called the PDNA, the Post-Disaster Needs Assessment, and the subsequent 4RF. Collectively, the EU and its Team Europe partners were bringing in €1 billion of support to Pakistan to help relieve the impact of the flood. And I'm happy to announce, we have heard already the World Bank and the ADB. We were supposed to have heard the Islamic Development Bank, hopefully with the audio that will be resolved very soon. I'm happy to announce that the European Investment Bank, the EU's bank, will soon join the club of international financing institutions that is going to support the world's largest housing program in Sindh. If the Ministry of Economy is somewhere listening, we hope that the negotiations on the loan, which are set for the end of February, will be concluded very, very positively, very, very soon. But Just adding more funds to the housing scheme is one way of helping. The EU, as you know, is primarily providing grants. And in a context in which grants are increasingly constrained, in my humble opinion, the best view to use grants is to find ways to innovate, to pilot, to showcase that certain things can be done, taking risks, so that once you show that something works, sometimes it fails, sometimes it doesn't, once you show that something works, this can be scaled up and picked up by much more substantial financing coming from our colleagues from the different banks, including the European Investment Bank. In that regard, you may want to know that the EU has been teaming up with the government of Sindh to help support the Sindh poverty reduction strategy. And as part of this strategy, what we try to do very much in strong cooperation with the Sindh government was to say, we have limited resources, we have massive challenges, let's focus our efforts on a few, some of the most vulnerable districts, and let's see if we can build an ecosystem of a rural town and an ecosystem of villages around it, and see if we work together. Government, building infrastructure, health facilities, roads, educational centers, water facilities, and the EU trying to unleash private sector capacities, trying to also build community-based infrastructure. If we can, at the micro level, get people out of poverty, then this is something that we could try to replicate on a much larger scale. And so this is actually what we are doing at the moment. We have developed in 5 districts in Sindh so-called climate resilient development plans. This, by the way, would not have been possible without the excellent data that was gathered through this world's largest housing program that took place in Sindh. And with this climate resilient development program, we try to catalyze scalable and sustainable recovery outcomes in flood-affected areas of Sindh. This involves building resilient and sustainable settlements led by community participation and technology-informed planning to enhance access to basic services, basic infrastructure, and expand socio-economic capabilities. Just a few weeks ago, I was in the village of Lako Brachno, which is in Tata district. That village had been substantially affected by the floods, and I was so happy to see how with the help of SPHF, of our colleagues from UNIDO, and with EU support, we have been able to turn this village around and become the first model village where we try to implement the climate resilient settlement development plan. That's just one village. With EU grant, we will try to make this turn from 1 village to 50 villages, and we hope that when we show that this is possible, more banks, more partners will join us and turn rural Sindh into the prosperous region it's supposed to be. So with that, big thank you once again to the organizers, to all those that have been very much responsible for turning the housing project into the success it is, and it deserves to be shown across the world. Wish you lots of success and deliberations in your exchanges, and do go to the field visit, because the model village is part of that as well. Enjoy that too. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Also, thank you for stressing on the field trip. I hope many of you can actually go and see it in action. Seeing is actually believing. Thank you for the good news. We would be very delighted to have as many partners as we can in this great initiative, and I hope your message has reached the relevant ministry. I would now move on to International Organization for Migration, IOM. The IOM leads global efforts to ensure humane and orderly migration, bringing displacement, mobility, and protection of vulnerable populations in crisis. IOM also plays a significant role as a contributor to the Sindh Housing Recovery and Reconstruction Platform. I now invite Ms. Mayo Sato, Chief of Mission of IOM Pakistan, to kindly address us.
Honorable First Lady, distinguished guests, colleagues, partners, and friends, Assalamu alaikum, very good morning. It is a real privilege for IOM to support and participate in this very important forum. We are truly honored to welcome governments, practitioners, and experts from across the Asia-Pacific region. And we are especially glad you could all join us at a time when the shelter and settlements agenda has never been more critical to human mobility, disaster response, and climate resilience. In 2024 alone, IOM supported 9 million people across 89 countries with shelter and settlement assistance. Climate change is exacerbating the frequency and severity of environmental crisis, something Pakistan knows all too well. IOM has been supporting the government of Pakistan in responding to flooding and displacement since 2010. One simple truth emerges from our experience over these years: shelter cannot be treated as a standalone output. Shelter cannot be separated from essential services, and households cannot be served in isolation from the community. Land tenure is foundational to durable solutions. Settlements are dynamic systems that require coherent and integrated planning from day one. This is reflected in the latest changes to the global humanitarian architecture. As of January this year, the shelter cluster, the camp coordination and camp management cluster, and the housing, land, and property area of responsibility have been merged into a single unified coordination structure, and we are pleased to share that this new structure is officially called the Shelter, Land and Site Coordination Cluster. This new cluster will be co-led by IOM and IFRC, with the old distinction between conflict and disaster context being removed. Because communities don't experience crisis in neat categories, they experience overlapping risks, needs, and vulnerabilities. And our coordination structures finally reflect that reality. IOM's experience in Pakistan demonstrates this integrated, evolving approach. After the 2010 floods, IOM helped flood-affected households regain their footing with emergency shelter support. When floods returned in 2010, 2011 and 2012, we realized this wasn't enough. So we created the one-room shelter project, supporting 77,000 families across 3 provinces to rebuild their houses using improved vernacular construction materials. However, we recognize that significant needs remain beyond shelter. So in response to 2022 floods, adopted an integrated approach, supporting households and communities to recover holistically. Alongside this, IOM leads the shelter, non-food items, and camp coordination and camp management coordination in Pakistan, has established a national non-food supply pipeline and is working closely with national and provincial authorities to improve preparedness and response planning across Pakistan. In closing, I would like to sincerely thank the government of Sindh, National Disaster Management Authority, and SPHF for their partnership, and all of you for your dedication, expertise, and commitment. The challenges ahead are significant, but this forum and the new global coordination architecture it aligns with, give us both a platform and share the vision to advance more resilient, dignified, and inclusive solutions. On behalf of IOM, thank you for being here, and I wish us all a productive and engaging forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Another one of our supporters who joined forces with us to help bring together this exceptional gathering deserves a mention here. Habitat for Humanity has spent decades building homes, communities, and hope across Asia Pacific and beyond, placing families at the center of sustainable and dignified shelter solutions. I now invite Ms. Mia Marina, Senior Programs Asia Pacific Habitat, to share her insights. Ms. Mia Marina would be joining us through a
distinguished
video
guests
message.
and participants of the Asia Pacific Shelter and Settlements Forum 2026. Although I'm joining you virtually rather than in Karachi, I am honored to be part of this important conversation. Habitat for Humanity is pleased to co-organize this forum alongside committed partners and the government of Pakistan. We have gathered to exchange ideas, innovations, and practical solutions, and to learn from each other as we shape the future of shelter and settlements. Today, the region faces a clear and urgent challenge. The need for adequate housing is growing just as climate-related threats are intensifying. More than 600 million people in Asia Pacific live in slums or informal settlements, and 7 of the 20 countries most vulnerable to extreme weather impacts are in this region. Behind these figures are people, families, and communities who face the greatest barriers to safety, affordability, and resilience. As practitioners, policymakers, and technical experts, we know that housing is foundational. A safe, secure, and affordable home supports health, stability, and opportunity, and strengthens resilience to disasters and climate shocks. This understanding is why Habitat for Humanity remains deeply engaged in the Asia Pacific Shelter and Settlements Forum as a platform to influence housing systems and solutions at scale. This year, as Habitat marks 50 years of global impact, we are also clear-eyed about what lies ahead. UN data shows that the region is on track to achieve a sustainable and inclusive future by 2030. Housing needs continue to grow, while climate change further strains fragile housing systems. Vulnerable populations are experiencing the compounding effects of these challenges most sharply. Yet, this moment also presents opportunity. If we act decisively, we can change how housing is built, financed, and delivered in a way that protect people, reduce emissions, and strengthen long-term resilience. Let me share a few brief examples from Habitat's work. In Nepal, we have supported more than 800 climate resilience homes since 2021 using cement bamboo frame technology. This work, carried out with communities, local governments, and partners, helped inform national policy. Last year, Nepal adopted its first guidelines for bamboo-based construction, unlocking new possibilities for low-carbon housing. In Indonesia, research with the World Bank tested low-cost passive cooling solutions in simple homes. Aluminum foil roof insulation significantly reduce indoor temperatures and improve comfort, demonstrating solutions that are practical, scalable, and affordable. And across Asia Pacific, our recent evaluations confirms that decent housing delivers far-reaching impacts, improving health, education outcomes, and opportunities for economic advancement. Building homes remains as building alone is not enough. We know we must work in partnership to influence policies, support innovation at scale, and help housing markets work for those most in it. It is encouraging to see so many partners here, contributing expertise, exploring collaborations, and advancing real solutions for families and communities. Together, open the door to a future where everyone has a safe and decent place to call home. Thank you, and I wish you all a meaningful and productive fall.
Thank you very much, Ms. Marina, and amen to that. Our next supporter, Catholic Relief Services, plays a pivotal role in both APSSF 2026 and humanitarian recovery. A steadfast partner to SPHF, CRS supports the Sindh Housing Recovery and Rehabilitation Platform and is, of course, a valuable supporter of this event. I'd like to call Mr. Sean Kalan, President and CEO of Catholic Relief Services, to kindly address the gathering.
Your Excellency, the First Lady of Pakistan, Asifa Bhutto Zardari, Your Excellency, the Honorable Chief Minister of Sindh, Syed Murad Ali Shah, government officials, members of the Cabinet, friends, colleagues, Assalamu alaikum to all. It's an honor to be here today to stand alongside the government of Pakistan and the many national and international organizations represented in this room. CRS is proud to support the government efforts, especially here in Sindh, and we're humbled to walk along with communities who continue to show extraordinary resilience. CRS's presence in Pakistan spans decades, and our commitment remains rooted in partnership and the solidarity with local communities. Over the past 2 years, Pakistan has carried out one of the largest and most complex flood recovery efforts in the world. The scale of destruction was immense, but so too is the recovery efforts. Government agencies, local organizations, UN partners, development banks, and community leaders are working together in ways that set an example for all of us. I want to recognize the exceptional leadership of the government of Pakistan and the government of Sindh, whose combined efforts have guided recovery efforts. I would like to also highlight the impressive achievements of the FPHF in response to the flood emergency. As a result of this cross-stakeholder cooperation, we are seeing the excellence in the field. It is equally important to acknowledge the resilience and agency of affected families themselves, whose determination has been the cornerstone of the recovery.
Recording
the
in
conference
progress.
brings us together because we share the same purpose: supporting communities and helping families move from crisis to recovery, safety, and long-term resilience. And as many of you have demonstrated through your work, shelter and settlement solutions are foundational to that journey. Without a safe home, health, education, livelihoods, and well-being can't truly take root. That is why CRS, like so many of you, centers its strategy on homes and communities. This approach aligns with Pakistan's national development priorities and global frameworks like the Sustainable Development Goals. Our investment in safe homes and communities began at the inception of our agency, but particularly about 20 years ago in the wake of the Indian Ocean tsunami. Since then, our work has evolved through partnerships and recovery efforts across Asia, Europe, and beyond. From Indonesia and the Philippines to Bangladesh and Myanmar, the Balkans, Iraq, Ukraine, and other contexts shaped by crisis. Each experience has refined our understanding that resilient homes are built not only with materials, but with trust, collaboration, and time. For CRS, safe homes and communities is more than a shelter approach. It's a holistic vision applicable across humanitarian response, recovery, and long-term development contexts. It reflects our belief that resilient homes are the starting point for resilient communities. It requires strengthening systems, the policies, the markets, the institutions, and the partnerships that enable communities to not only recover from today's shocks, but withstand them into the future. This lens of system strengthening ensures that investments made today will continue to benefit communities for years to come. And the global context makes this clearer than ever. Around the world, climate-driven disasters are increasing in frequency and intensity. Displacement is rising. Vulnerability is deepening. No single organization can meet these challenges alone. Pakistan's experience is a reminder that climate resilience must be integrated into every stage of recovery and development planning. Working together across governments, civil society, academia, donors, and the private sector is no longer optional, it's essential. Here in Pakistan, we see what kind of collaboration can look like in practice. Mechanisms such as the Sindh Housing Recovery and Reconstruction Platform have brought government, technical experts, financial institutions, and humanitarian actors around a shared table to coordinate, learn, and lead. Institutions such as the National Disaster Management Authority have played an important role in coordinating national-level response, ensuring alignment across provinces and partners. The collective effort has strengthened transparency, harmonized standards, and supported evidence-based decisions for recovery. CRS is grateful to play a small part in supporting this platform, and even more grateful for the learning it offers all of us about what locally led recovery can achieve. I would like to acknowledge the role of the government of Nepal in sharing its experience with the government of Sindh. I would also like to thank the Sindh government for welcoming members of the Syrian government as they start their journey of rebuilding. While the world can often seem a divided place, especially at this time, building bridges across countries, organizations, and communities demonstrates a shared belief that people have the right to live with dignity in safe homes and resilient communities where humanity can flourish. CRS is honored to stand with Pakistan and to partner with local communities and government institutions, including the Sindh government, and are grateful for their leadership, foresight, commitment, and dedication. We collaborate with development banks such as the World Bank, the Asian Development Bank, and the European Union, and with UN agencies and civil society partners as we collectively build a brighter future. Together, we are advancing climate-resilient housing and settlement solutions that not only provide immediate safety, but also lay the foundation for long-term stability and prosperity. What inspires me most is not the progress that has been made, but what it signals about the road ahead. Pakistan's experience reminds us that when we combine government leadership, community ownership, and collaborative partnership, we can move from short-term response to long-term resilience. We can support families not only to rebuild, but to thrive. And we can do so at scale. This is a clear message of the Asian Pacific Shelter and Settlements Forum, that resilience is not a destination, but a continuous journey, requiring shared responsibility. We are proud to contribute where we can, and even prouder to learn from the remarkable leadership and innovation happening here. Thank you to the government of Pakistan, to our hosts, and every partner in this room for your dedication. This is not just about rebuilding structures, it's about restoring hope, dignity, and opportunity. Together we can help ensure that the foundations we build today, homes, systems, and partnerships, will safeguard the future for generations to come. Let this conference in Pakistan be a turning point where we commit not only to recovery, but to resilience, equity, and the dignity of all families. Let us demonstrate that when communities, governments, and partners collaborate and build on a shared vision, transformational change is not only possible, it's inevitable. Thank you. Shukran.
Thank you, Mr. Kahlon, for those powerful reminders. And now we are pleased to invite Mr. Khalid Mahmood Sheikh, Chief Executive Officer of the Sindh People's Housing for Flood Affectees, to share insights on the world record setting Sindh People's Housing for Flood Affectees initiative, an initiative that has brought APSSF 2026 to Pakistan.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Ms. Asifa Bhutto Zardari, Chief Minister Sindh Murad Ali Shah Sahab, dignitaries, delegates from across the globe, good afternoon. We are gathered here today for the APSSF Forum 2026. Sir, you must remember that in 2024, you allowed us to go and participate in APSSF 24 and to contest for holding or hosting this conference in Pakistan, especially in Sindh. And it was granted, and I am pleased to inform that this honor was awarded to Sindh. The government of Sindh was rightly entrusted with this responsibility because Sindh People's Housing for Flood Effect is the world's largest housing initiative led by a government of Sindh. If SPHF were considered a country by population, it would rank 75th highest population in the world. A scale rarely seen in any housing program. If we are considered in terms of impact, 15 million people were impacted with this initiative, which means that there are 154 countries in the world whose individual population is far less than the individual population of SPHF. So, in other words, we just constructed a country's housing needs. This achievement was made possible through the vision of Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, who was Foreign Minister of Pakistan when the devastating floods of 2022 struck Sindh. Sir, I always say that if there is a political order, everything moves around that. And this happened, exactly this happened in Sindh. There was a vision of Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari Sahab, and it was led by Sayyid Murad Ali Shah Sahab, and this is possible. Sir, you remember that in 2022 September these rains occurred, and it is the same hall where you launched this project on 8th of February 2022. It took us around 8 to 10 months to prepare for this project. But in last 2 years, we have made many things happen. Company was registered, implementation partners were onboarded, recruitment was completed, so many things was done, project was structured, and we started disbursing since then.
Recording
and
in
in
progress.
2 years' time, we have made progress. Just 3 years later, or maybe 2 years because 1 year was taken in the preparations, we have opened bank accounts of more than 1.5 million people. We have put houses, over 1.5 million houses under constructions. Now in Sindh, 1.5 million, 15 lakh ghar, mukhtalif districts mein, in all 23 districts in Sindh are being constructed. 750,000 completed. Every month we complete 50,000 houses. This success was made possible because we made this project beneficiary-driven. The program follows a beneficiary-driven approach where funds are transferred directly into their bank accounts. 99% of people didn't have their bank accounts before. They go to their banks, they collect their monies, they construct their houses themselves. So this is the most possible transparent way where every single cent is sent to the bank and beneficiary receives that amount. No intermediary is involved. Funds are released in 4 tranches, ensuring that houses are completed according to the program's guidelines. How did we achieve this success? We achieved this with the support of our donors. The program started with the support from World Bank, then ADB joined, then Islamic Development Bank joined, then European Investment joined, UNIDO joined, and now so many other donor agencies are ready to work with us. And now we are going beyond housing into WASH. We work with the best private partners, including EY, KPMG, PwC, and so many other institutions. We partnered with commercial banks, through whom we disbursed funds directly to beneficiaries' bank accounts. The Sindh Bank has their branch there, their kiosk there, and they've mentioned that 700,000 accounts have been opened only by Sindh Bank. Then comes NRSP, then comes National Bank of Pakistan, then comes Allied Bank, UBL. So all the banks joined us. Ladies and gentlemen, the impact of this program goes far beyond housing. 800,000 women are direct beneficiaries, 99% of whom had never accessed a bank before. They have gained financial inclusion, and the land title of each house is being awarded in women's names. The program has created 1 million jobs, including training 20,000 masons, and it's strengthened social cohesion through village reconstruction committees where villagers help each other. There are many stories. Some of the beneficiaries are sitting here. A woman, Albeli, she never saw the face of the bank in her life, but now she is helping other women to open their bank accounts and how to transact with the banks. So this is the transformation which Sindh is seeing. Sir, 2.7 million houses are reported in our census as Kacha houses, and 2 million houses are being constructed by Sindh. And people are also getting on to the adoptive changes, and they are now turning their houses into Pakka resilient house. So a biggest problem of housing has been handled by the government of Sindh. The world is talking about Sindh and has set a benchmark. This program has drawn global attention from being described as a miracle for the people of Sindh to being recognized to its real-time monitoring, rapid implementation, state-of-the-art grievances, and women empowerment initiatives. The world is talking about it. Sir, you know, the president of World Bank visited just last week, and he said good words about this project. Sindh has set a benchmark in flood recovery and housing resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, the program is not just about 2.1 million houses. It is about 2.1 million stories. Sir, we knew when we started this project that it is not about housing, it is all about stories, because every house has a story to tell. It is about the first child born in a Pakka resilient house. When we went to her house, she started crying. We asked, why are you crying? She said, this child will not see the miseries which my 3 other kids have seen. Sir, in last visit, a woman said, you have taken us out of the fear of rain, fear of being shelterless again. So, these stories, these are remarkable, and they give us a lot of strength. It is about the first Diwali in our Pakka house. It is about the first Eid celebration in new homes, reflecting the interfaith harmony Sindh is known. It is all about bringing happiness in their lives again. This is not merely a housing program, it's a story of hope, resilience, empowerment, togetherness, and that is all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Khalid Saab. You moved us with that powerful conversation. You're right, a shelter is never only a shelter. It's a place where there are hopes, where are dreams, there is so much, the fear gets eliminated. And you also said that every house has a story to tell. And I'm very certain everybody seated here wants to hear those stories. So let's hear it from the people who have been very much a part of this. We will play a small documentary for you so we can all be transported and really hear it from the women program.
तस्वीर में भी कभी न सोचो हो त मां एक गरीब औरत जेका वा त एड़ो घर पको मजबूत घर भी ठहरा सघंदन। इसके जो मालिकाना हुकूक है वो हमारे नाम पर है, बैंक अकाउंट हमारे नाम पर है, हर चीज हमारे हाथ में नहीं। पहले होती थी मर्दों के हाथ में, अब हमारे हाथ में।
ये घर हमें अब महफूज लगता है। मैं अपने बच्चों को लेकर इसमें मैं आराम से रह सकती हूँ।
मेरा नाम अरबेली खातून है। 2022 में जो सैलाब आया हमारा सारा कुछ डुबो दिया। बहुत मुश्किल से हम अपने गांव से निकले थे। असांजे घरनि जा नक्शा ई आहे, तव्हां यकीन कंदो त मां पाण मूंखे न पई ख़बर पए त हिते मुंहिंजो घर किथे हो। माना हिकिड़ो जेको इंसान जो उम्मीद हूंदी आहे, एहसास हूंदो आहे, माना ईअं पियो लॻे असांजी उम्मीदियूं सभु कुझु माना ख़तमु थी वियूं। हमें उस वक्त मालूम नहीं था कि दोबारा हम लोग अपनी जिंदगी में संभल पाएंगे जाना।
मैं हिम्मताबाद से हूँ। मेरे गांव के लोग पूरी जिंदगी जबरी मुशक्कत में जिंदगी गुजारते थे। बाद में उन्हें वहां से निकालकर आजाद करवा के इस जमीन में बसाया गया, लेकिन हम यहाँ पर कच्चे मकानों घरों में रहते थे। गुलामी की पूरी जिंदगी का बोझ उठाए हुए हमें हर वक्त तूफान बारिश का डर लगा रहता था।
2 महीनों के बाद जब हम लोग अपने गांव वापस लौटे, कश्ती पर हमारा आना जाना शुरू हुआ। सिर्फ मिट्टी के ढेर थे और कुछ भी नहीं था।
सिर्फ अपने आरज़ू, अपने अरमान और अपने जज्बात लेकर हम वापस आए थे। हम अपने घरों में वापस जा रहे हैं, लेकिन जब हमने वो घर देखे तो घर थे ही नहीं, पानी में सारे डूब गए थे।
तव्हांजे ॻोठ में सिंध हुकूमत जी तरफ़ां टीम आई आहे ऐं उहे माना चवनि था त घरनि जी सर्वे थींदी ऐं सिंध हुकूमत तव्हांखे वराए सां नवां घर ठाहेगी।
हाँ, मैंने सोचा मैं खुद कर सकती हूँ, इसलिए मैंने जब अपना घर कलर किया सबको पसंद आया। फिर हमारे गांव में दूसरे बहुत सारे घर बने हैं। मैंने दूसरी औरतों को भी सिखाया, मैंने एक टीम बनाई, फिर हमने अपने गांव में बहुत सारे घर कलर किए। मैंने पैसे भी कमाए, ना सिर्फ के सिंध गवर्नमेंट ने हमें घर दिए हैं बल्कि हमें पैसे कमाने का एक जरिया दिया है।
मैंने सोचा कि मैं पढ़ी लिखी हूँ एक, और माहौल को थोड़ा सा तब्दील कर सकती हूँ। आने वाली नस्लें, अभी हमें पके तो घर मिल गए, लेकिन उसमें हमारे बच्चों के लिए, हमारे गांव के बच्चों के लिए तालीम बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत थी।
मैंने अपने घर को जो ना बाहर से घर का बनाया और अंदर से मैंने इसको स्कूल का बनाया, क्योंकि बच्चे मेरे पास पढ़ने आते हैं। बच्चों से कोई फीस नहीं लेती मैं।
मूंखे तमामु ख़ुशी आहे त जेके सिंध हुकूमत असांखे नवां घर ॾिना आहिनि, न सिर्फ़ु असांखे घर ॾिना आहिनि पर उन्हनि जा मालिकाना हक़ूक़ बि ॾिना आहिनि। जेका असांखे सनत मिली आहे उहा असांजी हिकु ज़िंदगी आहे। असां औरत जो इहो हथियार आहे।
एक टाइम में मैंने अपने घर को स्कूल स्कूल के लिए इस्तेमाल कर दिया और रात वाले टाइम में मैं उसे रहने के लिए इस्तेमाल करती हूँ।
खूबसूरत है, मजबूत है, अच्छा बन रहा है। कभी हम लोगों ने सपनों में भी नहीं सोचा था हमारे ऐसे घर बनेंगे। हिननि घरनि जी तामीर सां असांखे हिकु नई उम्मीद मिली ऐं सिंध हुकूमत जो असांखे सहारो मिलो। गरीबों का ख्वाब पूरा कर दिया गवर्नमेंट ने।
सोनी धरती सिंध के पूर्व अर्ज में 21 लाख नए घरों की तामीर, करोड़ों सलाब मुतासरीन की हिम्मत, आज़म और इस्तेकाम का अक्स है। हुकूमत सिंध की जानिब से दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा रिहायशी मंसूबा SPHF।
Wow, that video was a powerful reminder. Thank you, our partners. Look at the incredible work that you've allowed us to do. The pride in the eyes of those women. I'm sure I wasn't the only one experiencing goosebumps. May the journey continue, and may every woman in the country raise her head with pride. That's the power of financial inclusion. With this, distinguished guests, I would now invite the key figure representing our host for APSSF 2026, the government of Sindh, who have quite impressively managed to bring together this exceptional collaboration and opportunity for knowledge exchange between 600 delegates from 41 countries today. It is my great honor to invite the Honorable Chief Minister of Sindh, Mr. Murad Ali Shah, to deliver his special address.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Respected Bibi Asifa Bhutto Zardari, First Lady of Pakistan, my cabinet colleagues and parliamentarians, members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished guests from the Asia Pacific and beyond, esteemed international experts, regional leaders, respected colleagues from across Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. It's a profound honor to welcome you to Karachi, the capital of Sindh, for the Asia Pacific Shelter and Settlement Forum 2026. I especially thank First Lady of Pakistan, Ms. Asifa Bhutto Zardari, for gracing this occasion. This forum represents the largest and most significant regional gathering dedicated to housing, shelter and human settlements. It brings together policymakers, practitioners, development partners, academics, and innovators from across Asia-Pacific region, united by a shared commitment to ensure safe, resilient, and housing for all. The Asia is one of extraordinary diversity and immense dynamism, from snow-capped mountain ranges to coastal plains, from megacities to remote rural communities. This region is home to billions of people whose resilience, culture, and creativity continue to inspire the world. Yet it is also a region on the front lines of climate vulnerability and rapid urban transformation. I am particularly pleased to see strong participation from academia, donor agencies, the private sector, civil society, and government institutions across Pakistan. Your presence here reflects a shared understanding that sustainable housing solutions require partnership, innovation, and collective resolve. Sindh is proud to host this forum. It is especially meaningful for us because our province is home to what is today world's largest housing reconstruction initiative, the Sindh People's Housing for Flood Affectees. Envisioned under the leadership of Chairman Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, this initiative has emerged as a global model for climate resilient construction and inclusive recovery. What began as a response to an unprecedented disaster has evolved into a transformative development intervention. You've heard about the project. Khalid Sheikh just told you how we went about. He did mention that it was envisioned by Chairman Bilawal Bhutto Zardari. I would like to tell you the story behind this project. We've all, we'll be talking about this project for the next couple of days. You've learned about this project after it was started. But how did it all come along? We were hit by catastrophic floods in the Sindh. Nearly 70% of the province was submerged. And as you all know, over 2.1 million houses were damaged and destroyed. Entire communities were displaced. It was one of the gravest humanitarian crises in our history. Chairman Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, who was also the foreign minister of Pakistan at that time, cancelled all his visits. He was to visit a few countries as the foreign minister, but during this time of crisis, he wanted to be with his people. So he went around, and this flood struck us around August of 2022. So he went around, and every place that he went to, one complaint or one tragedy that everybody was talking about, because we moved people, we had created shelters for them, we had created tent cities, providing them food, providing them with medicines. And wherever he went, the chairman was told, and I'll just say that in Urdu, कि साईं हमारे घर से, I'm translating this, probably done this without translating it in Urdu, हमारे घर से छत निकल गई है, हमें घर बना के दें. Now, I was with him in most of his visits. I have seen floods before in the province. I remember as a child the 73 and the 76 floods, especially the 76 floods, because my village at that time was completely submerged in water. Then there were floods later on, but after that I remember the 2010 flood, and some people talked about that flood here today. Again, almost the same level of damage was done in 2010, but if you combine 2010, 2011, and 2012, the entire province was submerged in these three floods. And in 2022, the three floods combined were the 22 flood, because the entire province, both sides of River Indus, were completely submerged. Now, in all these floods, I'm talking about 73, 76, there was a flood in 94, if I remember correctly, 96, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2020, and the 2022 flood. We had never endeavored into construction of houses. We never thought about it. Now, we did think about it, but the quantum of damage or the quantum of relief that was to be given was so huge that we could not even think about it. So, Chairman Bilawal tells me, he's visiting these people, and he turns around and says, in Urdu, कि जी मुझे तो एक ही demand नजर आ रही है, इनको हमें घर बना के देने पड़ेंगे. So it just tells me, by the way, that Chief Minister, I'm hearing this complaint and we need to make houses for these people. And I just thought it was a passing remark and he'll forget about it. But next day, when we met, and he said, Chief Minister, आपने क्या सोचा? Chief Minister, what have you thought about what I told you yesterday? And I lied. I said, sir, I'm working on it. I hadn't thought about it. So that night, I huddled a few people together and I said, Chairman wants this. And they were like smiles on all the faces, there's something not possible, we will not be able to do it. And I said, no, we need to try. So we sat down and did some numbers. And at that time, we were told about 1.6 to 1.8 million. Later on, it was 2.1 million houses are damaged. And we did some quick math. And, it turned out that we'd need about 600 billion rupees. It's about $2 billion. And I said, now, everybody said this is not possible. At that time, our annual development budget was between 100, what we could spend, the government of Sindh was between 100 to 150 billion rupees. So 4 to 6 years of our development budget had to be set aside in order to build these houses. So again, when I went to see the chairman, I told him, sir, it's not possible. We will not be able to do it. And he told me, no, I want you to do it. I said, okay. And I'm really grateful. The first organization that came to our help was the World Bank. And I spoke with the country director. We were at that time discussing with them flood rehabilitation. And this is sometimes in September. So we started talking, and the country director at that time told me that I've talked to the board members, I've talked to my seniors, and they said that apart from the other interventions that we're doing, we might be able to contribute about $500 million for this project. So I said, okay, that's a start. That's 25% of the work done. So I told the chairman, I found success. I've got a few days later, I told him I found the first organization which is willing, but they said, you have to put in your own money also. So he asked me, how much can we put in? I said, sir, we can do about 50 billion rupees, which is about $200 million, a little over $200 million. And I said, we need to get the federal government in. And they had to match our contribution. So he spoke with the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister couldn't say no to him. He said, no, we're putting in $200 million, 50 billion rupees, you have to put in the same amount. So we got about $900 million in about a week's time. And that gave us the confidence that this is something that can be done. And a couple of months later, December 19th, 2022. So this is, where we're still recovering from the flood. The World Bank has its meeting. Now, it all depended on this first $500 million, whether we could get it. And 19th of December 2022, there was a big package that we presented to the World Bank. It was $1.7 billion, $500 million for this, for road reconstruction, for school reconstruction, for irrigation, rehabilitation, canals. And they approved $1.7 billion for us on the 19th of December 2022. Less than a month later, again, Chairman Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, being the foreign minister, was able to convince the Prime Minister in turn, because during that period, the UN Secretary General had come to Pakistan and he had visited the flood-affected areas. And the government of Pakistan, along with the United Nations, did an international conference on climate resilient Pakistan in Geneva. It was the 9th of January, 2023. And on this date, the government of Sindh, presented our case for this project. And during that conference, the Asian Development Bank committed $400 million. The Islamic Development Bank committed $200 million. It took a few months for the boards to approve this, but we were well on our way. And as Khalid Sheikh told you, in February 2023, in this very room, we got our other partners in, and Chairman Bilawal Bhutto Zardari made a passionate appeal to them. And there we are, 3 years, less than 3 years from then, we've not only were able to get all the financing arranged, we've completed almost 800,000 houses. We are on our way of reconstructing more than 1.5 million houses, and we are there. Inshallah, in this calendar year, we'll complete our project, the 2.1 million houses that we're doing. So at that critical moment, a clear commitment was made with every affected family. They would receive shelter. This was made by Chairman Pakistan People's Party, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari. And today I stand here before you to say that we were able to honor that commitment. And though Chairman Bilawal Bhutto Zardari is not here today, he wanted to be. Unfortunately, the dates clashed with the Munich Security Summit, where he is right now. I do want all of us to applaud his leadership, his vision, which enabled the government of Sindh to fulfill this project. We did not merely rebuild houses, we rebuilt hope. We rebuilt confidence, and we did so at unprecedented scale, settling new benchmarks for transparency, accountability, and speed in post-disaster recovery. What truly distinguished Sindh's approach and what has drawn global attention is our beneficiary-driven reconstruction model. We placed communities at the center of decision-making. Families were not treated as passive recipients of aid, they became partners in rebuilding their houses. Women in particular were empowered to lead the reconstruction process. This was not only about infrastructure, it was about dignity, it was about ownership, it was about socio-economic transformation. Just last week, and the country director of World Bank spoke about this, the president of the World Bank, Mr. Ajay Banga, visited homes built under the SPHF initiative in the district of Larkana. His visit reflects international recognition and confidence that this initiative has earned. Through SPHF, Sindh has demonstrated that large-scale recovery can align with innovation, transparency, and social inclusion. We have shown that resilience is not built for people, it is built with people. Climate change does not recognize borders. The floods that devastated Sindh are a part of global climate reality that many countries across the Asia-Pacific region face today. That is why we are committed to sharing our experience, learning from others, and strengthening regional collaboration. Resilience is a collective endeavor. We must learn together, innovate together, and build together. I thank all our international and national partners, development institutions, experts, and delegates for being part of this important dialogue. Let this forum reaffirm our shared resolve that every family, regardless of geography or income, deserves access to safe, resilient, and dignified housing. Thank you very much all, and once again, welcome to Sindh. Pakistan Zindabad.
Thank you very much, sir, for taking us through that beautiful journey. Thank you for dreaming that audacious dream, chasing it, which has allowed so many to dream big in their own safe and resilient homes. And now for our keynote address, we are very privileged to welcome Her Excellency, Ms. Asifa Bhutto Zardari, First Lady of Pakistan, whose dedication to humanitarian causes has inspired millions.
Distinguished guests, international delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good morning. It is a pleasure to join you at the Asia-Pacific Shelter and Settlements Forum 2026, and to be a part of an important conversation on shelter, resilience, and inclusive human settlements. This forum brings together diverse perspectives at a moment when the question of shelter and resilience has never been more urgent. Across our region, millions of families continue to face growing challenges driven by climate change, rapid urbanization, natural disasters, and persistent social inequality. For many, the absence of safe shelter is not simply a material hardship. It is a loss of dignity, security, and opportunity, a disruption at the very foundation on which stable lives are built. Shelter is far more than a roof over one's head. It is the base upon which health, education, safety, economic stability depend. It is where families recover from loss, where children feel protected enough to dream, and where communities find the strength to move forward together. For us, the idea that shelter is a basic right is reflected in the Pakistan People's Party founding promise of roti, kapra, or makan. Food, clothing, shelter as the minimum dignity every citizen deserves. We also know that the impact of secure housing is especially profound for women and children. When women have safe homes, access to assets, and financial inclusion, the benefits extend well beyond the household. Women invest in their families, anchor social cohesion, and contribute directly to the long-term development. Placing women at the heart of shelter and settlements initiatives strengthens resilience, not just for individuals, but for entire societies. The Asia-Pacific region is among the most climate vulnerable in the world. Floods, cyclones, earthquakes, extreme heat are increasingly displacing communities and placing immense pressure on both urban and rural settlements. Climate resilience can no longer be treated as an add-on. It must be embedded into every aspect of shelter planning, from design, construction, to land use and community governance. It is in this context that Sindh offers a powerful and relevant example. In response to the devastating 2022 monsoon floods, which displaced millions of families across Sindh, the chairman of the Pakistan People's Party, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, envisioned and directed the government of Sindh to launch the Sindh People's Housing for Flood Affectees program. Today, I can proudly say that it stands as the largest post-disaster housing reconstruction initiative in the world, with a commitment to build 2.1 million climate-resistant homes directly benefiting more than 15 million people. But the true strength of this program lies not only in its scale. Homes and land titles are being given and issued in women's names, many for the first time, strengthening dignity, security, and financial inclusion. It is a recovery designed not just to rebuild structures, but to restore lives and futures. Equally vital is sustainable settlements and social cohesion. Strong communities are not defined solely by infrastructure, but by trust, participation, and a shared sense of ownership. When people are engaged in decision-making and feel invested in their future, recovery is faster, resilience is deeper, and progress is lasting. This forum offers an important opportunity to strengthen collaboration between governments, development partners, civil society, the private sector, communities themselves. Our shared responsibility moves beyond just dialogue and towards action, scaling solutions that are affordable, locally driven, climate resilient, and inclusive of those who are the most vulnerable in our society. Over the coming days, I hope these discussions will be honest, practical, and forward-looking, focused on sharing lessons, strengthening partnerships, and identifying pathways that translate policy into real impact. When forums like this succeed, their outcomes are not measured in statements, but in lives improved on the ground. Let us work together toward a future where every child grows up under a safe roof, every woman lives with dignity and security, and every community has the resilience not only to withstand crisis, but to thrive beyond it. I want to thank you all, and I wish you a productive, inspiring forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I would once again like to thank all our event partners, World Bank, Asian Development Bank, Islamic Development Bank, European Union, UNIDO, CRS, UNICEF, IOM, Habitat for Humanity, Muslim Aid, National Bank, Sindh Bank, NRSP Microfinance Bank, Mashriq Bank, and G3. Thank you very much for partnering with us, and we're very excited to take this further with all your support. Give it a big round of applause for all our partners who have been here today. Thank you, Khalid. We'd request you to come on the stage one more time with all our dignitaries who are present here. If you could all kindly grace us on the stage, come join us for a group picture. All our partners who are present here, if you could kindly come on the stage one more time so we can capture this moment with the First Lady of Pakistan. Can I please request all our partners who are here with us today, everybody from World Bank, ADB, Islamic Development Bank, European Union, UNIDO, CRS, UNICEF, IOM, Habitat for Humanity, Muslim Aid, National Bank, Sindh Bank, NRSP, Microfinance Bank, Mashriq Bank, G3, and if any others that I've missed out on, if I could kindly request Chief Minister and First Lady of Pakistan to be here with us so we can capture this moment. We have our women here with us who are here to tell their tales, speak to them when time allows, and listen to their heartwarming stories. Thank you very much for joining us, and it's so crucial that we have you as part of this picture. Thank you very much. Thank you for partnering with us. Thank you for gracing us on this occasion, for taking our time. Thank you very much, everyone. With this, we'd like to just thank all of you. Once again, the 3 days are very exciting. We have lots of sessions for you planned, 115 speakers. Do go on the 3rd day to actually see this housing in person. That experience is going to be incredible. Thank you very much, everybody. With this, we'd like to share with you that you can proceed to the Xavier Hall for the lunch break. But on your way to the Xavier Hall, we have set up some beautiful stalls for you. I saw Muslim Aid on my way in. Please do visit the stalls, find out about the incredible work our partners are doing, and we'll see you after the lunch break. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of the day and the rest of the